Welcome to the INFOWARS Nightly News. I'm your host, Jakari Jackson. It is July 6th, 2016, and here's a look at our top stories.
Tonight, a month ago, Snowden contrasted his exile as a whistleblower to Hillary breaking classification rules for personal benefit and being rewarded with the presidency. Yesterday, his response to the FBI's get-out-of-jail-free card for Hillary was amusement at the irony. Then, we show you the man Comey did indict over a 21-word email 13 years ago, urging someone to preserve subpoenaed records. I'm sure, unlike Hillary, his intent was evil. And, in case you forgot just how severe the double standard of American law is, this man was shot to death, not for selling state secrets for tens of millions of dollars, or for endangering lives with security leaks like Hillary, but for selling CDs in front of a convenience store. All that and more on tonight's INFOWARS Nightly News.
Joe Biggs here with INFOWARS.com. Now, we just arrived in McAllen, Texas a few hours ago. Now, what we did is we decided to go straight down to the border and see what we could do, see what we could find, because we already know that there is such a porous border here in southern Texas. We brought a couple trail cameras, we got those set up, and as we were pulling into our location to go film, we actually ended up seeing within minutes a family who had just come across the border, and we had an opportunity to talk to them.
¿Hablan español? Son de México. ¿Qué hacen? ¿Dónde vienen? Específicamente. No somos de la aduana, nada más somos reporteros, no se preocupen.
No, somos hondureños.
¿Hondureños?
Sí.
¿Y qué hacen?
News or journalists.
Sí, I already told them,
Okay.
yes, and they're from Honduras.
From Honduras.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
How long have you been traveling?
¿Cuánto tiempo llevan viajando?
Tenemos un mes de ir caminando.
¿Un mes? A month.
Cansados, ya queremos agua y todo.
Mm-hmm. They've been traveling for a month now.
When did they get into the U.S.?
¿Cuándo llegaron a los Estados Unidos?
Ahorita.
Acaban de cruzar.
Sí, acabamos de cruzar.
Sí, they just crossed.
By a raft or a boat or?
¿Se cruzaron solos o cruzaron con alguien? Solos, caminando. O de que en barco, ¿no? ¿Pero están bien todos? Okay, they're all safe. They just walked across.
Walked across.
Yeah, they
So where are
did
they
no
trying to
boats.
go to?
¿A dónde tratan de ir?
Tenemos familia aquí en Houston.
En Houston.
Sí.
Ah, entonces todavía les falta mucho.
Seems like the popular spot, huh?
Yeah.
They have family in Houston.
Okay.
Did they pay anybody to help them get over to the border?
Están preguntando que si pagaron a alguien para que los ayudara a cruzar solos. By themselves. Okay.
Did through Mexico, a bus or train or?
¿Cómo?
How did they travel
How
across
did-
Mexico?
Yeah.
Perdón, algunas veces me confundo. ¿Pero se vinieron caminando desde Honduras hasta acá o se vinieron en autobús a través de México? O en autobús. En el bus. Yeah. And then they walked.
Okay.
Okay.
Where did they come across that? Down here? Where?
Se cruzaron por acá nada más caminando así de que no los paró nadie, nadie los vio. Nobody saw them, they just walked across.
No, I'm saying, where did they come across that? 'Cause I wanted to walk down that way and look.
Queremos saber por dónde caminaron, queremos ver por dónde cruzaron.
Down this road?
Por acá abajo así, hasta el final.
Sí, de abajo.
And how did they walk? Was there no river there?
¿No había río? Sí, cruzaron el río. Ah, ok. Es que no los veo mojados ni nada.
So through the water.
They said yes, but I don't see them wet or anything. So
Yeah.
that's why I was asking.
Yeah.
So they just crossed the water.
That's what they said. Acaban de cruzar, pero no están mojados. No, o sea, no estoy tratando de ser...
Why do they look dry?
Si dicen que cruzaron por el agua, ¿no estarían mojados?
Pagamos porque nos pasaran en
En un barquillo. Ah, ok. Sí, me imaginé. O sea, está bien, no se preocupen. Nada más estoy preguntando.
So what are they
No.
planning on doing the rest of the day then?
Sí, ¿qué planean hacer el resto del día? Nada más seguir caminando, seguir
Sí, sí, caminando.
tratando de entrar. They're gonna try to keep going and keep walking, and
Well,
they did pay someone to
And there's a vehicle
cross
that's pulled
them
up
in
right
a
now,
little raft.
Isn't it?
Yeah.
All right.
Another great report from Joe Biggs and the crew down there in South Texas. Now, we've spent a lot of time down at the border over the past, I guess, 2 or 3 years, at least since I've been here, documenting various things that have been going on down there. And I did a wrap-up report last week, so I'm not going to go crazy into it. But just so people know the situation down there, the area that they were in I guess it's some type of restricted area, even though when we went into it, there's no clearly visible sign telling you that you're in some type of government preserve, wildlife preserve. And there's actually footage of Biggs coming in encounter with the Border Patrol agents, or should I say the state police down there, where they're tailing them out. They're saying, hey, you guys can't be here, this and that. Did similar things to us. And just somewhat of the absurdity of it, because looking back, I would say, at least me personally, I feel like I was too hard on the Border Patrol when we did our assignments a couple of years ago. Now, while they do things that I'm not a fan of, like the inland checkpoint, which is an hour or so away from the border, where they stop you and ask you, if you're an American citizen, I don't like that. But by and large, a lot of things that I used to blame them for, I now understand are a bit out of their control. They have many things that they would like to do, but they can't implement them because the laws on the books don't allow them to be as effective as they'd like to be. For example, when I went down there 2 weeks ago, I met with the agents and we were having a conversation, and of course they were somewhat suspicious of people out there. So they stopped, they asked, hey, what are you guys doing? I said, well, we're just reporters, came out from Austin. We're trying to document people crossing the border. And they said, okay, well, be safe, because they want people to understand what's going on out there. Meanwhile, the wildlife preserve guys, most of them were very nice that we talked to, but they were more inquisitive to our activities. And they're like, what are you guys doing out here? And we'd say the same thing, Austin reporters, we're trying to document. And then they're like, we don't know if you can be out here. And I'm like, well, sir, we're not, poaching wildlife. We're not taking anything home with us. We just have cameras out here trying to document. And the crazy thing about that, while the wildlife guys were talking to us, like two groups of guys came up to us on boats, the wildlife guys. We're having a conversation with them, and they want to know, the who, what, where, when, and why. While they're speaking to us, a boat comes from Mexico, crosses the Rio Grande, and drops people off. I'm like, hey, you guys might want to go check that out. They say, oh, yeah. And they jump in their boats, and they speed off after it. I'm like, this kind of the priorities there aren't exactly what they should be, in my personal opinion. And like I said, when you talk to various people, we've talked to the ICE agents, the Border Patrol agents, people in the local government establishment. They're telling us basically at some point people get taken to the McAllen bus station where they're given vouchers to travel about the country. And as I always try to stress, because I run into some people sometime, I actually did an interview with a young lady, I'm not gonna say what her name was, but she was like, INFOWARS is anti-immigrant. And I was trying to explain to her that I have no issue with legal immigration. I don't think anybody else in this building has an issue with legal immigration. The reason why we're against illegal immigration, the reason why I support a border, not a border wall, but a border, is because if you talk to all the people I just mentioned right there, they'll be the first person to tell you it's not just the nice women and children. We've seen some of the videos here recently of people crossing over, and I definitely recognize there are men, women, and children coming over who are coming from El Salvador. They just want to get away from the poverty or the gangs or whatever else that's going on there. But you also have criminals who are taking advantage of that system. The Border Patrol vice president I talked to last week, he told us, yeah, we bring in, big truckloads of dope coming over the border. Yeah, we catch criminals and terrorists trying to cross the border. And the thing about it is, people need to understand, when you cross the border, you're pretty much on the honor system. So if you're some elusive international terrorist, you're not going to use your real name. You're going to say your name is Bob Jones or something. Oh, Bob Jones, you don't have a criminal record. Come on. And these are things people need to understand. You need a system to verify who people are. But I've spent enough time on that. Just want people to understand that it's not, bigotry or whatever else. And it's not just people coming from Central or South America. The Border Patrol guys tell us people are coming from China and Pakistan and Yemen. And if I lived in Pakistan or Yemen or Afghanistan and I had to worry about a U.S. airstrike blowing up my church or my hospital, I'd probably want to leave too. So I can't fault people for that. I just wish there is a way for them, a more transparent way, a more speedy way for them to go through the legal and lawful process instead of perpetrating with these catch and release programs. Because the people we talk to, they tell us that if people come from Mexico, they basically just send them back across the border. They come from further away, El Salvador, someplace like that. They give them a bus ticket and a very long away court date. So just let's say for the sake of argument, if you come, a two-month walk from El Salvador, you get to the United States of America and you want to go to someplace like Washington State. I want a bus ticket to Washington State. Do you really think they're going to come all the way back down to South Texas just to get deported and sent back to where they came from? Absolutely not. And once again, families, good people want to come here. I understand that, but I think there should be a more transparent way for them to follow and for them to actually follow that way. But I've spent enough time on that. Let's talk about some other news that's going on right now. And it's been a while since I've talked about a police brutality story. And one of the reasons is because there's so many of them. It's kind of like gun stories. Like, we want to do more gun stories. Like, there's so many, I can't cover them all. But this one in particular, talking about police brutality, is a rather graphic video. And this shows a Baton Rouge police officer shooting a man dead for the heinous crime of selling CDs out of his trunk. Just like you guys recall the gentleman up in New York who was selling, was it cigarettes? They choked him to death, and then they said basically he died because he was overweight, which is complete bull. He died because you choked him out with your arm. That's why the guy died. But any excuse to get away with their crimes. And I'm sure you can see uncensored versions of this. You know, we have a cable audience now, so we can't show all the gritty stuff about it. But basically, the officers have the guy down. They say, oh, he's resisting arrest. Resisting arrest in and of itself is not a capital offense. So let's get that straight from the bat. They have the guy down. The officer pulls out his gun and shoots the guy point blank in the head with the gun while both his arms are restrained. I think that does constitute, I'm not going to say at very least, that's a murder as far as I'm concerned. But the people of Louisiana are getting up in arms about this, getting up and having protests about this. And these are things that when I see people protest, I'm like, well, this is a good protest. Now, understand when I say protest, that it's not a riot, that it's not assault, that's just protest to draw attention to the issue. Let's get that very clear. And hopefully some people will be charged in this because there's really no excuse for that. Why do these guys, it seems like the only reason some of these officers have pepper spray or other agents is to, spray peaceful protesters at, colleges in California. They'll just come and spray them. We're like, you have the guy down. If he's being an issue, pepper spray him. Maybe even tase him. I wouldn't say so much in that situation, but pulling a gun out and shooting the guy point blank in the head, that is not good for anybody. So let's talk about something else that's not good for the American people. And those are the actions of Mrs. Clinton. Now, I brought this up the other day. When Mrs. Clinton, she comes out and she's just the apple of the American public. She's, the chosen one. And now anything that she says and does is pretty much gospel. Nobody wants to call her on it. Even places like CBS, they did the profile on her many years ago when she was running against Obama. That famous clip of Cheryl Atkinson when they were overseas, I believe it was Cheryl Atkinson, how she documented how Mrs. Clinton never got shot at by the snipers. Now they don't even want to talk about that anymore. And now it's to the point when they talk about her emails, they're not going to file any charges against her, and we'll talk more about that. But the issue is you have guys like Edward Snowden, Julian Assange, Bradley Manning, a couple of those guys we're going to talk about here, have to deal with the fact that they put out information and they're exiled, they're in prison, they're wanted men. Meanwhile, Mrs. Clinton is running for president of the United States of America. And this is what Snowden had to say when he found out how the FBI director was not pursuing charges against Mrs. Clinton. He put out this tweet. He said, break classification rules for the public's benefit, you could be exiled. But you do it for personal benefit and you could be president of the United States of America. How very true. What a heinous double standard that people like our whistleblowers have to go through. Meanwhile, Mrs. Clinton, when she talks about wiping the drives, which she did, she wiped them clean and then tried to send them to the FBI, or she thought they were clean, and then sent them over to the FBI. She's like, you mean wipe them with a cloth? Like, no, Hillary, we're also not talking about turkey, the Thanksgiving food, when we talk about the country turkey. But she knows all that. And she knows like her viewers are just going to eat it up and they're going to laugh and, oh, Hillary's so funny. Meanwhile, the main issues never get addressed. And as I was talking about Bradley Manning, or Chelsea Manning, I guess as he prefers to be called now, there's a situation with Chelsea, not so much related to Hillary, but sources are saying that he attempted to commit suicide. Now, once again, the guy is in there for some very, I think, trumped up charges. Yes, he did violate people's safety and various things when he sent out that information. But meanwhile, I personally view him more as a whistleblower than a criminal. But regardless, Chelsea Manning was taken to a hospital during the early morning hours of July 5th. Before returning to the barracks, a spokesman said that officials continue to monitor the inmate's condition. Manning, 28, is serving a 35-year prison sentence for his role in leaking government documents to WikiLeaks. But compare and contrast that with Mrs. Clinton, who put many good people's names at risk when she did her activities, but she's walking around free and easy. And even the FBI said she did potentially expose government secrets to hackers, but they say she's the chosen one and blow her out like she's some. I don't know what the hell those people are doing anymore. And as we're talking about James Comey, I want you guys to remember this. It was back in 2003 that investment banker Frank Quattrone was indicted on charges of obstruction of justice by